Okay, so here is predominantly what I brought on my trip to Hawaii. This is a Peak Design travel backpack. This is the 45 liter, I believe, and it is pretty stuffed. I will say that I used almost everything in here. There are some things that you don't really need and that I didn't need, and I'll talk about the items I didn't need, but most of the stuff was used to full extent while I was here. So outside pocket, I'm gonna go through the whole thing, just why not? Outside pocket is the Faraday cloth that I've used on vertical antennas. This was used on all of the low land activations. This was not on Mauna Kea. I don't know how you exactly pronounce it, I apologize. This was great. I'll link it, the exact dimensions I use. I go off of what the ground side is of the coax. I have a little jumper with 2 alligator clips that I clip to this. I still use radials. You should still use radials in a lot of situations, unless you're like 10 meters or 15 meters. You can probably get away without using radials and just using this. Dimensionally, it will depend, right? We're doing a lot of research on how to effectively use this, when you need radials and when you don't. When you go into 20 meters and 40 meters, then you probably need to add radials to this, but more to come on that. I also had an Osprey packable backpack. This came in valuable for wet clothes and stuff that I was carrying in and out of farmers markets and other stuff like that. Speaking of that, I also have a Peak Design packable tote bag. This was used at the farmers market when I was around with my wife and everybody else in the family carrying stuff. That's what I did. I carried a lot of things. So I'm going to put this aside. Just know that this was like my sandals and beach going gear and stuff like that. Not radio related. So there you go. I'll drop a link if you want a packable backpack. The Osprey one's pretty nice. On the other side, the antenna that I brought, first let me get the water bottle out of the way. I use the water bottle as a buffer because this thing is way too big. So my water bottle is a Walla bottle, but to kind of hold the antenna to the back here so you can travel with it and really cinch it down with the strap here. This is the Chameleon antennas 25 foot. All of my contacts were made on this. I activated 4 parks and I made contacts even when I didn't activate. I had a failed activation. This is a great option. The only downside is TSA was pissed about this thing, and I'll show you why. Chameleon and other companies that are making these 25-foot whips are really proud of how robust they are, and when they're in the closed formation, they're kind of like a weapon, particularly at the base here. This metal base it's pretty stout, and the TSA guy was just like, dude, this is a weapon. What is this? And I was like, no, it's an antenna. See, it stretches out. And he's like, man, we've said that the little instant pop out batons that the magicians carry are weapons. This is like a weapon. This is heavy. So I got popped. TSA and LAX, they were like, you cannot travel with this in your bag. You cannot travel. So you're going to have to figure something out. And ultimately, I went down to luggage claim. The Delta folks were really helpful. We actually modified an Amazon box and I checked it. This will be going back in my wife's checked bag tomorrow because it will not get on a flight. And yeah, totally. Like you could totally smash somebody with this thing. It's quite heavy at the base. Get enough momentum behind it. Yeah, with them all those elements closed in. Yeah, you should not carry this on. 17 foot, maybe. Because it'll fit in a bag closed and they won't see it, but they're still going to get it on the X-ray, so I don't know. Mileage will vary on that one completely. Now, in full transparency, I have packed that antenna before, going through TSA as well as a 17 foot, so I don't know. Do what you want. I don't know why this overflowed, but Maui Brewing Company, Big Swell. It's an IPA. Outside on my straps, this thing is probably 40 pounds, it feels like. I brought my MuziWorks, the T114 Meshtastic device. Meshtastic on Hawaii, all the islands is fantastic. I don't know what you're all doing. I think it is from the judicious application of high-mounted repeaters. You guys are able to communicate in ways that even Southern California, you're competing. I don't know if we're better, you're better. I don't think it matters. I think it's just outstanding, outstanding. Lots of people talking. I had a couple of questions that I asked on Mesh that, you know, if you want a local's opinion on what's going on, like, there you go. Meshtastic, possibly one of the best communication devices you can have on the islands. I mean that. If anybody's watching me right now and they're like, I need something like as a secondary communication. By the way, civilian defense, really strong here. I saw listened to a couple of notifications from civilian defense. You guys are like on it for preparedness. Get yourself a Meshtastic, get yourself something with like a proper antenna, get yourself a solar node that you put up on your house on the roof line, and you'll be able to get in on what is a service-free, self-built, self-operated mesh network where you guys can communicate highly advanced, like totally recommended. This is the perfect community for that. You guys got the right mindset for that. So that's what I'll say about that. Outside, I have a Gossamer Gear shoulder pouch that I always keep. This is cheesy, but it's helped me out in the past. I keep a card that somebody gave me that is my FCC license and has a picture of me and all of that. It looks very official. It means diddly squat, but for those, you know, who knows? You can just say like, hey, my call sign, my FCC license. You get the idea. You don't need that when you're traveling necessarily, but whatever. Okay, now let's talk about VHF, UHF. Now, as much as I want to say good things about Meshtastic, the VHF, UHF side on the islands is a little light. And I'm talking about the Big Island, Hawaii. I have not tried Oahu, or Oahu is more populous, I believe. Maybe you have a better situation, but APRS was not very effective. VHF, UHF repeaters, there are some. I was not able to really get onto any. I programmed 7 different repeaters on this radio to communicate locally and didn't work. I will say that I was able to make one contact, and I will log that POTA basically from that VHF, UHF contact that I got from somebody down in the Kona area that was on 2-meter simplex. And we had a nice little conversation. And he also said, it's like, yeah, it's not great. The repeater situation out here is not great. He did comment that there are some DMR repeaters and that DMR is more popular out here. And so maybe I should try DMR. Okay, fine. But I didn't bring DMR. So there you go. That's all I'll say about that. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not trying to throw any shade that simplex is not big out here, because the land mass is varying. You can go from being at like the shore, and then you can be at 8,500 feet above sea level in less than an hour, which is crazy, right? Like, there's a summit out here that is just absolutely ridiculously high. So imagine trying to talk from Kona to Hilo on VHF, UHF. You'd have to have a repeater, and I don't even know that a repeater would work in that situation. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough out here in some cases. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I sometimes threw some other gear on the sides. Doesn't really matter. So the Traveler backpack's kind of unique, and I'm going to change the look of this here in a second. Oh, I didn't mention my clip. I do keep this on the side just in case. This is a travel clip. That's really all I'll mention about it. But when you're like go to a restroom or whatever and you want to hang your backpack, you know, you can use the upper strap or whatever, but sometimes you're not as confident with that. So this little carabiner clips onto, say, the strap of your backpack, and then the hook goes onto the hook of the bathroom stall or the hook of a table or whatever. And I've put this big old beast on it, and I've had no problem with it. So again, no, it's not for everybody. I'll drop a link in the video description if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's just a travel hack kind of thing. kind of item. Doesn't really matter. I think the meat and potatoes of this is what you guys care about the most. I've probably already belabored too much talking about nonsense in the beginning, so I'm just gonna go into the main compartment. There's a front compartment on this backpack, which is really convenient, but at the same time, like, most of the stuff you care about is gonna be on the back side, which you're just like, well, how's that work? Well, this is an odd backpack. It's really effective, but when you, there's a back zipper. When you take the back zipper all the way down, it literally just opens the entire thing up. Everything just is available to you. So I'm gonna lay this sucker down. Let's get you a better image shot and I'll show you what I brought. All right, so flippy flappy, take the whole thing back. You have access to everything in the back of the bag. This is a laptop sleeve. I brought 2 laptops. I have a MacBook Pro that I brought for editing, which was not used in any radio activation. I did bring my CHUWI 10-inch convertible laptop for radio, and honestly, this was fine. It worked without an issue. It is, I think, the perfect size for a portable ham radio laptop. I did debloat this, so it is running Windows 11 debloated. And I did FT8 things with it. That's all I did. Did a little logging as well, but that's it. I'll drop a link. The only downside is 2 USB ports, so it does charge over USB-C, so you will have to have an appropriate laptop charger. I have a Anker brick that I bring traveling that I charge everything off of at the end of the night. This was something that got charged. But there you go, that's out of the way. Okay. Sun hat. This is a hiking sun hat with a wide brim. It folds, so you can fold it over and pack it, stuff it really easily into something. This is recommended from the Scouts, actually. A number of the Scoutmasters recommended this. It has a kind of tension system on the back here. This is a large, extra large. You probably only need a medium large. Follow the measurement charts that are online. I like the hiker version with the venting. This was really helpful for me because I get sunburned really easily. So anyway, drop that on the side. First, we'll just go ahead and talk about the radio because I think you already know what it is. So we'll get that out of the way. In this PRC bag, this is something that I picked up, I don't even know how long ago, over a decade, let me just put it that way, is the QRPStation. This is the accessory baggie that I literally just grabbed whatever baggie I have and added the cables to it. This is a 50-watt radio running off of the TX500. The TX500 being a Lab 599 creation with a portable 50-watt amplifier on the back, which has an internal tuner. This worked flawlessly. There's no issues that I had with this radio. I ran it at no more than 5 watts output into this amplifier. Of course, when you're running with the 25-foot whip, there is no reason that you'd run this not being resonant. You will adjust these whips elements to be resonant. You have to do that. That is the purpose of bringing a quarter wave vertical. If you are not prepared to do that, if you're not prepared to fiddle around with radio stuff, then go with a different option because you're just not gonna have a good time. Because of that, I also brought RigExpert Stick Pro. This was used for tuning up, literally physically modifying the length of that whip, and that worked great. Once I got it down, every time I set this thing up, I was at less than 1.2 to 1 SWR every time. I did not tune it for resonance, although this will allow you to do that. I was literally looking for just kind of a wide swath of the band that I could have access to where I was jumping from single sideband to FT8 or digital. Most of the time, if you're doing 10 meters or 15 meters, you get a huge portion of the band on a vertical antenna, resonant antenna. That's it. I mean, that's all there is to say about that. Have an analyzer. I don't care if it's an NOVNA, I don't care if it's a RigExpert, just have an analyzer in most cases. Okay, so accessory time. I will talk about the accessories that go with this, because you need the right cables to go along with it. So my accessory pouch has all the cables that I need 2 power cables, one for the amplifier, one for the radio. I have a USB-C cable. This is for the DigRig that I ended up running. There is a Link 500 device which will add TNC capability, jumper for the amplifier. These very, very lightweight, very, very nice aux cables, which are made from Cable Creation. These guys are super slick and super thin. I brought like 3 of these of different lengths, and a Tuftln microphone. The Tuftln microphone allows you to plug in earphones and a secondary microphone, and I used the phones aspect of this significantly for listening to what was going on. I had no luck with single sideband. That is totally due to the situation of the solar storms. It was not related to this equipment. This equipment all worked flawlessly. I did work CW, one contact to Atom, and I definitely had those phones connected for that. I mentioned it, I did bring a DigRig, very important, and what will make life somewhat painful for some of you is that you will need to plug in, where is it? Is this the guy? Yeah, this is the guy. If you're doing CW, you got to make sure that you bring this little guy. This is the CW key adapter for the TX500, which you're like, really? Like, I got an extra little bit I have to carry? Yeah, if you want to be able to run it, that's what you have to do for those cases. I have to make sure to shove everything back in here because I'm literally going to go activate tomorrow before the plane flight. Thank you, Leia, for your wonderful, wonderful planning and your love and support, because can you imagine being married to me? Okay, all right, so there is no speaker on the TX500. You're going to have to provide something to be able to listen to, and these are some Moondrop in-ear monitors. These are very expensive. I bought them on a whim years ago for listening to music, and they are fantastic. These are the Blessing 2s. You can find them on Moondrop. If you search for Blessing 2s, you can probably find them as well. They're ridiculously expensive. I would not recommend them. You don't need something this expensive to do ham radio things. But they're also really good on the plane, which is where inner monitors are really, really nice to have. Really, really nice. They are very sound isolating because they kind of fill your ears. They're not professionally made where they're molded to your ears, but they are really, really helpful for just getting ambient noise out of the way. Okay, that out of the way. Toolkit RC's power supply, which I've talked about. I made a review on it years ago now. One of the smallest power supplies that you can get. And you need this if you want to charge the particular battery pack that I have for the QRPStation. There are a couple different battery packs. I went with the one that works specifically well with the Powerfilm Solar Lightsaber Max. And how this system is designed to work is that you charge up the battery on the radio fully, and then you add the Lightsaber Max, and you get like a ton more time operating because you're running off of a full battery. So every night I was charging off of this bad boy. I did not need the Lightsaber Max though, so this was extra weight that I really didn't need for the activations. It's a good peace of mind item to have, but travel-wise, it's probably overkill for most people, I think. I think this is more of a thing that you would bring for your summit or your Parks on the Air activation where you're going to be running for a while and you want to use something like a QRPStation with like a 50-watt amplifier. This would be a really great addition to it, but in most cases you don't probably need that. It's probably overkill. I brought a, also not needed, Explorer, the 20-foot K8MRD special Explorer with the drill the hole in it and put a knot so that I can actually retain the cap. Did not need this because I just ran the vertical, and the vertical worked great. The low takeoff angle for DX allowed me to make a contact to Ukraine from the Hawaiian Islands, which I thought was really quite special. I was very excited about that. Next, I brought the spool antenna. Also didn't need because I went with the low takeoff angle of that vertical. Consider that in Hawaii, you are 2,500 miles from the mainland. As much as an end-fed half-wave can probably do it, I'm not taking anything away from it, the vertical is gonna have a low takeoff angle, and that low attack to the atmosphere particularly in the atmosphere I was dealing with, was desirable. This does 40 meters as well, although I knew pretty confidently that I probably would not be able to make a 40 meter contact while I was here. 40 meters is just, it won't give me the hops I need to get to the mainland. It won't get me to where I need to be going to make contacts. And there's just not enough hams here to really make that work for NVIS, although I heard from the contact I made on Simplex that they do have a very popular NVIS net at 9 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if it's every day, but they definitely do an NVIS net, which is pretty cool. Now, I will note that this is very scattershot, how it's all in here. I had this packed much nicer because I was literally running from contact to contact, and I will have it packed up much nicer to go home. Next, modern Morse. I did bring my key that was made for me, and I'm very happy to have it. This has my logo on it, which no other key has my logo on it, so it is my key, and I'm very happy to have it. This key has made one contact now, and it was with Atom, K6ARK. So the only mode of operation I was able to work outside of FT8 was Morse code, and it was Atom on 15 meters, and it worked really well. I will note that I woke up after that fantastic late night activation with Atom, and I was like, I'm gonna do CW tomorrow, and I did. I got my confidence all up, and I got set up to do it. I got on 15 again. Bands were popping, by the way. Didn't make it. Couldn't make a contact, although I called CQ for about 10 minutes back and forth after posting my spots, and people did see it. There was comments that, Josh doing CW. I tried. Anyway, will in the future, because frankly, I think that's where it's at. Okay, power supply is out of the way. We can get that out of here. And your power cable. I brought a POTA flag, and I put this on the table. I did not put it on the vertical, but of course I keep a POTA flag with me, got to represent, very important. I'll pull this out of here just to be dumb. I'm with Kaiser. Kaiser did an inspection on my knee, and they're like, you know, yeah, you got meniscus damage, you had an ACL replacement, but they're like, I think your patella is all screwed up. And here's a brace that like pushes your kneecap to be more in line. So there you go, a prescription knee brace. I am getting old. Big old hunk of tomato wire, right? We know the name for this stuff now, tomato wire. It's cut your own, it's choose your own adventure twist ties. This is great. I cannot tell you, every ham watching this, you don't have to buy it from me, but the link is in the video description. I don't even know how expensive this is, but if you consider the cost of like the night eyes and all these like specialty bougie, and don't get me wrong, I got one on this bag, twist ties and all that, you can go buy like 25 feet of this for nothing, and you just cut it to size. This one's really long on purpose because I've used it to like lash telescoping masts to trees, picnic tables, railings, water fountains, whatever. just getting the antenna in the air. Very important. Get yourself some tomato line. Okay, and then that leaves the Diddy accessory bag. This is a Dynema bag. So as much as everything weighs 1 billion pounds in this kit, this is the lightest thing, this Diddy, this stuff sack bag. It's a roll top stuff sack bag, and it worked out really, really well. It is like literally, you can see my hand on the inside of it. It is lightweight material, extremely lightweight. Dynema is great. So going along with the Chameleon line, and no, they did not pay me to bring this, but I wanted a 25-foot whip. And I also wanted to pack relatively lightly, so I brought the Chameleon tripod, the mini tripod. Why? Well, you can stretch the legs out. So this is a fully extended leg, and you multiply that by all 3 sides, and you're like, Josh, that's probably not wide enough to do whatever you're trying to do on the bands with that fully elongated whip. And you're right, but I never went above 20 meters. So if you're never going above 20 meters, and this is just going to be a 20 meter antenna mast, then it works pretty well. Yes, I took this bag once it was mostly empty. There was still some accessories and other stuff in it, and I laid it on one of the legs, whichever was the one that was kind of against, that the wind would have tipped from. So if the wind's blowing this way, I would have put the bag on the leg that would have lifted off the ground first. That is where I put the bag, and I had no problems. And today's activations were some of the most hellacious winds I've experienced doing a Parks on the Air. It was to the point that even if I wanted to work single sideband, the noise from just the wind would have made that fundamentally impossible. It was crazy. Yeah, the wind was insane. And I was on the northern side of the island where literally the windmills are, so they're there for a reason. Yeah. And I have 4 radials that go along with that. The radials are on winders. This makes this very easy to unwind, rewind. These are 12 feet each. I have a bungee cord or a jumper cable. The jaw side goes to the EMP cloth, and this side goes to the radial connection. Every one of those radials, there's enough metal sticking out that you can just pop that in there and you're good to go. I brought the Chameleon blank, with the radial plate underneath it, and I have an adapter for a BNC male. I brought the coil. Didn't need the coil. The coil would have got me 40 meters, but did not need that, and it was a waste. To couple to this connection right here was DXEngineering had handed me a choke at Himvention, and they're like, we're trying something out, let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll let them know, it worked great. I had no issues with common mode, although I didn't expect to really have issues with common mode. I had no USB failures, which is one of the fundamental things that I'm looking for with a portable antenna setup. Even when the antenna was very close, my USB never failed. I never lost connection to my computer. It worked great, so the choke did its job. Shout out to DXEngineering. I hope you bring this to market. And then I had some 316 coax. That was it. That was all I brought for coax connections. Didn't want anything fat, didn't want anything heavy. This is probably 15 feet. 15 feet is about, I think, what it was. So yeah. Now, as far as the video making side of this is where things are going to take a little bit of a weird turn maybe. Oh, I even missed a wrap there. I am shooting this on the Osmo Pocket 3. This has now been my most commonly used portable radio activation camera. I don't bring my expensive cameras out to do portable activations, and frankly, from the quality that I'm getting, although this is a very weird lighting situation, I hope this turns out. I'll know when I actually pull the editing out. The Osmo Pocket has been really fantastic. And I have a whole bunch of kit that goes along with it, including this microphone, but this case that comes with it. I want to give a shout out to Osmo, or to DJI. So this is the 3rd Osmo. I've owned every one of them. I'm that much of a fan of this camera. So how it works is there is these slots on the inside, and they have little pieces of metal, and that allows you to deploy these filters. Filters, this is an NDI filter. This is sunglasses for your camera lens. This is a NDI, or an ND32, which is usually good enough for direct sunlight. Sometimes you might need to go to 64 or whatnot. And what that allows you to do is to not have to change your f-stop by reducing the light that comes in, meaning closing the aperture of the lens, as well as not have to add ISO, which can create noise on the image. So adding one of these right to the image allows you to have kind of more of a noise-free, less artifact-free setup, which is a lot nicer in presentation. I have a full kit of these, like a big old box, but I found that I only really bring 3. I bring this, and I tried to experiment with their, this is Freewell, by the way, that makes them, their S-Mist. I'm going to add the S-Mist right now, and then we can see if this gets all cinematic-y when we do it. Ready? And there you go. Now we're S-Misting. Am I more cinematic, guys? Should I have a highball and a cigarette and be telling you about my trials and tribulations with that one dame? Then I have a noise pollution filter that is for night shots, kind of like this. I got so focused on doing the activation last night on the summit, on the mountain, that I did not do any night shooting. So there, that's out of the way. Okay, now I mentioned that you should have a listening device. So these are in-ear monitors, because the TX500 doesn't have a speaker of any kind. There was one device I bought. I splurged on this, and it's completely ludicrous. Oh, before we get to that, I guess spoilers, hang tight. I do also always carry a Peak Design tech bag. Most of the stuff is totally not ham radio related, but it corrals all my cables. I keep my extra mics on here. This is something I didn't need. I thought we might record the podcast. We didn't, sorry. We'll see you next week. Anyway, 2 mics in here. I carry a USB switch with HDMI ports and memory card reader over USB-C. This is for my editing laptop, which is not a part of this video. And then I keep a Sandisk terabyte SD hard drive that I use for taking all the footage off of every day, and I put it on here, and this will then go home and will be carted off to my main editing computer and my huge attached storage, and that's how I do my live editing. But this and the memory card, that's all I have as a record of any of this happening, so that's why I always pull it off and do that. So this guy always goes with me in some form or function in every event. The tech bag from Peak Design, most of you nerdy guys with all your technology probably should own one of these if you haven't. I know that people have copied this bag, but this is still the best. It's been fantastic. This is the second one I've owned. There's a phone slot on the side if you want that. I never use that, doesn't matter. The new model has the handle on the top, which I think is a far superior configuration, but okay. Oh, beanie, because we were on a summit that was actually very cold. It was very cold on the summit. Okay, I will show the front of the bag now because there is some more stuff in there. I did beacon APRS a couple of times, and I believe I got picked up, but APRS was weird this weekend. I don't know what was going on, but not fantastic. Okay, this guy's real empty right now, but if you just slide down, this is why this is a pretty convenient backpack. Think of it, if you're traveling, you just can like flop this down. This is another compartment, that huge back compartment. That we're done with that. This is a front compartment. I only use this like when I'm going in and out of airports and all that stuff, and then often used stuff just falls to the bottom here, which I know to grab. This is a hiker's first aid kit that I got from Garage Grown Gear. This came in real handy because my wife got a pretty bad blister, so she was first aiding herself. I was helping, of course, to first aid her. Sunglasses pouch. Shout out to a thing that's becoming popular. Gummies that have Li Hing in it. Li Hing is a salted plum that you can buy. What's funny is Vietnamese people know about this. Mexican people, you know about this as well. Salted plum is like a legit thing you can buy. This is like an old snack kind of thing. It's like a salty sweet type of taste, and they're making gummies where they have Li Hing in it. So there you go. I did bring my two-way radio, of course. I had to bring the two-way radio. I did work the simplex contacts with the signal stick, but I put this on as well, and we completed the contact on this guy just to see an audio comparison, which not much of a difference, but I did try to use this for many a simplex contact, and no one replied. There was like no repeater activity, no simplex other than the gentleman I talked to in Kona, which, okay, it happens. All right, so the item I hinted at, this is purely for video making. You don't need this, and you probably shouldn't buy it. Where are you? Everything else is like battery banks and nonsense. Like, here's the battery bank that I'm carrying from Nitecore. This is their 10,000 milliamp hour super thin carbon battery bank. I carry this on the plane, super lightweight. If I want to be really light, this would be the way I would go, but that's not what you're here to hear about. So because the TX500 has no speaker, and therefore the camera can't pick it up, therefore I can't mic it, I can't do much. Yes, there are cheaper ways to do this. I wanted a capability to have a really nice audio recording setup, and I bought a Teenage Engineering TP7 recorder. This is like stealing money from my childhood. When Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2 had the Talk Boy, this is what that feels like. This is the current gen version of the Talk Boy It is insane. So I think I can just go in here. So I can just, so here's the sounds of me working CW. Or getting ready to work CW, but you can toggle. It's bad. Oh, that was me. That was side tone. So this has a speaker output as well as it has a recording capability, which I was using to record myself. I was trying to do some single sideband with this, but yeah, there you go. This actually came in really handy because a number of people came up to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I had the radio connected to this to monitor. Sure, it was FT8 in some cases, and I was explaining what was happening that they saw on the screen, but it was really helpful that they could see and hear what was going on so they knew what was happening. But you don't need this. You don't need this, and it doesn't matter. The price is cost prohibitive. It's insane. This was a whim that I bought that I justified to myself that I can use it for video making. Tax write-off, right? It's a tool. Anyway, so that's my mess of stuff that I bought, and I would thin this down. I know I can thin this down. But at the end of the day, the TX500, I think there was some question that even I had, like, would this be willing or able to do the job? And it did. It did. There was a lot of cables. That was the thing that many people said. It's like, oh, your accessory kit, you know, that you're going to have with this, lots of cables, all that stuff. But I found what it was like an escalation of violence, right? As I sat down, I was like, we're doing single sideband. That's all we need. So that's two cables, right? That's the power to the amp and the radio, and then there was the mic cable. And then, of course, you have an antenna connection, but all things have that, right? So no real, that's like no change to like a 705 or anything else. You're going to have a mic cable. You're probably going to run with a power cable eventually. You're going to need, yeah, that's it. The only difference is because of the Tuftln, I could plug into that, and then I had the earbuds because I had to have that. And then the escalation went to, okay, well, now we got to do CW, Morse code. And then the escalation went from there. It's like, now I need digital. So now I'm adding the DigRig, and I got like the full octopus effect. That's real, like the full octopus effect. But you don't need all of that. Like that, in no time do you need, you could just do single sideband. You could just hammer out code. You could just do DigRig stuff. And that's it. So yeah, your mileage will vary. Whew. I am glad that I activated at least 3 parks. You were talking to me on the last full day. We have a red eye out of here. Not my choice, but we have a red eye out of here. And I think Leia said, oh yeah, you're gonna be able to try and activate 2 parks tomorrow, which is crazy. It is, I don't even know what time it is. What time is it locally? That's still set to home. Oh. What the hell is that? What's going on? Nothing is going on, but I'm exhausted. It is now 8:38 p.m. local time. I'm used to going to the East Coast and then back to the West Coast. I seldom am going further west to where people at home are losing, like they're ahead of me. Could not get used to that. I'm still not used to that. I'm gonna go to bed, and hopefully I will talk to you tomorrow on the radio. I'm still gonna try single sideband, but it's been a fallback to FT8 like pretty much exclusively. All of this is because of the solar storm. It's not because of the position you're in Hawaii. I know that's true because I activated Mauna Kea with QRP. I did not have the amp on. That was my bad. I should have had the amp on. I would have done it faster. My family was waiting for me. They were borderline unhappy. If you polled the audience, there probably would have been more unhappy people than happy people. But if I had the amp on, it would have been faster. But again, that's 8,500 feet above sea level. That's it. I'm rambling. Guys, that's it. This is what I brought. I'd love to hear your comments below. That's all you need, right? That's it. Anyway, I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. I'd love your comments below. Thanks for all of that. Great feedback, as always. Give me a thumbs up if you haven't, and please subscribe. It's free. If you haven't and you waited this long to the end of the video, come on. You're already part of the family. Let's do it. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ 73.